Welcome, everyone. Today is Tuesday, July 25th, 2023, and this is a regular meeting of the City of Asbury Park Zoning Board of Adjustment. Chairman Avalone, will you please call this meeting to order?
I'd be happy to. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Coaster and Asbury Park Press by publication of the annual meeting notice and posted on the municipal bulletin board and municipal website. All notices are filed with the board's secretary. Official action may be taken on the following matters before this board. Fire exits are located on the east and west sides of the council chambers as well as the back of the building, and I ask everyone with a cell phone to please mute it for the duration of this meeting. And this meeting is being recorded by APTV. Roll call, Marie.
Wendy Glassman?
Here.
Daniel Harris?
Here.
Russell Lewis?
Here.
Jill Potter?
Here.
Tim Slick?
Here.
Jose Alcaraz? Vice Chair John Scully?
Here.
And Chairman Christopher Avalone.
Here. All right, just a couple of housekeeping issues. We have two resolutions to adopt. The first resolution, I make a motion to adopt 905 Summerfield Avenue.
I'll second.
Second is Jill. Got it? 1 second, sorry. Apologies, my computer.
I don't think everybody's eligible. There's
They're
only...
not, and as soon as I clicked on the resolution, my computer decided to just shut down for a second.
Want me to call?
Possibly, because now I don't know where it went. Here we go. Got it. I'm sorry. Okay. So we are looking at Summerfield. Okay, sorry about that. Technical difficulty. Here we go. Daniel Harris.
Yes.
Russell Lewis.
Yes.
Jose Alcaraz.
Yes.
Jill Potter.
Yes.
Vice Chair John Scully.
Yes.
Chairman Christopher Avalone.
Yes. And I make a motion to adopt 1109 and a half Fifth Avenue.
I'll second.
I think it's the same group.
Yeah. So 1 second. And we have Daniel Harris,
Yes.
Russell Lewis,
Yes.
Jose Alcaraz, Jill Potter,
Yes.
Vice Chair John Scully,
Yes.
and Chairman Christopher Avalone.
Yes. All right. We have one application tonight. Jack, do we have jurisdiction?
Yes, we carried this from the last meeting, we acquired jurisdiction,
All right.
and we adjourned to tonight without further notice.
Terrific. 138 Elizabeth Avenue, Mr. Ettinger.
Yes, good evening. Paul Edinger appearing on behalf of Kevin Albert, the applicant. And Mr. Albert would like to build a home on 138 Elizabeth Avenue in Asbury Park. Tonight we have testimony to present to you. Nelson Engineering has sent John Polizza. He's going to testify as an engineer, and he also certified as a planner. And we have Matt Cronin here, who is the architect who designed the building. It's an undersized lot on a one-way street. The plan that we are proposing is certainly an improvement on what is there now is a blank space, really. It's a vacant property. Previously, there was a building there that burned down. I believe it was 2005, sometime around that point.
What was there at first, Mr. Ettinger?
Two-story building.
It was a two-story building.
Like a garage?
I don't believe it had a garage. We have, one of our exhibits includes a survey from the surveyor that had done work right around 2005, and it shows the building. If you can see it there, looks like a building. It's the offset from the street is quite close. It doesn't seem.
Was it a carriage house as part of another property, or was it an actual home? What was it?
It was under single-family ownership. I mean, I don't have pictures of the home.
But it wasn't a residence itself?
It was, I believe it was a residence. The surveyor characterized it as a two-story frame dwelling.
Okay.
Do we have any city records of whether this was a residence? Do we have any
It's not relative to the current application.
Or what?
We brought the survey just to show you the, what was there before and
The
how,
total lot is what, 1,800 square feet?
1875, yeah.
Okay, it's quite small.
There's no doubt about it.
It's really quite small.
Undersized lot.
Yes. Go on, please.
With that having been said, we had approached the adjacent property owners to determine whether or not anybody wanted to sell any portion of their property or their property to Mr. Albert, or whether they, wanted to consider purchasing his property. I mean, the law indicates that it would be a purchase at the price if a building were to be able to be erected there. But there were no interested parties. Nobody reached out to me to inquire further. I have copies of the letters that we had sent out. I was going to have these marked as exhibits.
So can I clarify? So letters were sent and there was no response? There wasn't an actual offer or negotiation for the sales or?
Right. The letters were sent to the adjacent property owners. We sent them out by certified mail.
And there was just no response?
There was no response to me, no.
Yeah, I can give it to Maureen.
Aren't they already part of the packet, Marie?
Yeah, copies, but we're gonna enter into
Yeah.
the record
Okay.
because that's part of the proofs for an undersized lot case.
Understood.
So Jack, legally wise, is the non-response, does that meet the criteria for? Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that having been said, what I propose to do is to get right into testimony with the engineer.
Please, Mr. Editor.
If we may. Mr. Blitz, if you could just explain to the board, give them the benefit of your education, training, and experience as an
But
engineer.
first, Jack needs to swear you
Yeah,
in.
let me, please raise your right hand. Someone swear testimony about to give you this matter, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Please state your name for the record.
John Beletza,
Okay, I need you to spell that.
Buletza.
Thank you.
Jack, would you also swear in Donna and Doug too?
Yeah, when I'm done,
Yeah.
we're done with him, we'll put both of our.
Okay.
Want to?
Mr. Carter?
Give us his qualifications.
Sure. Okay, Mr. Blitz, if you could just indicate to the board your education, training, and experience.
Yes, I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh in 1984. I am a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey since '98, a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey, and also a certified municipal engineer in the state, vice president of Nelson Engineering.
Thank you. Those are more than enough credentials. Thank
If I
you.
may,
Thank you.
Doug and Donna, please.
I assume your license is current.
Yes, my license is current.
Thank you.
Someone
are-
swear to testimony about to give this matter, with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the record, names for the record, and your affiliation with the board.
Donna Miller, board planner.
Doug Clellan, board engineer.
Thanks, Jack. Please, Mr. Beletza.
Mr. Blitz, so just if you explain to the board, well, what the plan is for this property, your experience with looking it over and what you've prepared for their benefit tonight.
Okay, I'll run through a brief narrative of the existing property, previous development, and what the applicant is proposing. As you can see, the property is located on Elizabeth Avenue. It's known as Block 1005, Lot 5. It contains 1,875 square feet. It's 25 feet wide, and that has about 0.04 acres. It's situated on the east side of Elizabeth Avenue, and it's between McKinley Place and Jackson Place in Asbury. Elizabeth Avenue is a one-way street. It's got approximately, I believe, 17 feet of pavement, and it runs one way in the southerly direction. The property is located in the R1 residential zone district, and the lot is undersized for the zone, and 2 variance conditions exist on the lot itself. The first is that the lot area is 1,875 square feet, where 5,000 square feet is required minimum in the zone. The second variance is 25-foot lot width, where 50 feet minimum is required in the zone. And you can see all that on the site plan on your screens. Now, previously, as we had mentioned, there was a 2-story residence and 2 concrete walks located on the property. The residence was destroyed by fire and has since been demolished. Now only the walks remain. The 2-story residence that we had shown you from the Joel Lazar survey dated July 25th, 2006, had a building footprint of approximately 860 square feet, which would yield approximately a 45.8% building coverage on the previously developed condition. Now, what the applicant is proposing, once again, is shown on your plan. The proposed site improvements are to construct a 688 square foot footprint, 2.5-story single-family residence on the property with a total square footage of approximately 1,630 square feet. Also, in front of the residence, we are proposing a paved driveway with 2 off-street parking for 2 vehicles in front of...
Was there a curb cut there originally, Mr. Valenza, or no?
Hang on one sec. There
There is no curb cut there.
No.
The street was recently paved.
I don't believe there was this.
5 years.
I don't believe there was a curb cut previously.
I think there might have been some repaving on that street, and the curbing might have been a part of that project. Because from the pictures I've seen, it looks like the curbing is fairly new and consistent right down the street.
I'm sorry.
Yes, so there was full-face curb across the frontage, and we're showing to remove approximately 20 linear feet of that and replace it with depressed curb. So now there's full-face curb across. Excuse me.
Is there, hang on a second, do you guys have a copy of the survey that you could,
Yeah, I brought them to hand out.
copies of the original survey?
Yeah, that's for the board.
This is for 2005, did you want that?
Yeah, that was not in our packet, so I'm very curious about the prior.
I appreciate that the house was burned down, was demolished after the fire, but was there no masonry foundation remaining so that you could see what the outline of the
No,
prior building was?
it was demolished.
Thank you.
The plan was demolished, but I incorporated a high-quality image into our plan, and yes, I incorporated it up and put it on top of our survey, and that's where I got the measurements for the building. And you could see from the plans from the handout. As you can see, once again, that footprint was approximately, let me get it right, 860 square feet, and you can see the left side setback is on or over the line. The front setback was very near to the front property line, and there was no off-street parking. Just as a comparison, the applicant's plan has parking for 2 vehicles in the front yard, which does require a design waiver, but we'll get into that. And the applicant's footprint is 680 square feet as opposed to 863.
If I understand, Elizabeth Avenue is not to have any off-street parking, is that correct?
On-street.
On-street parking.
On-street.
On-street.
Correct. So the development in the previously development, they had to park on the street. The applicant has eliminated that condition, making it closer into the conformance with the municipal ordinance.
Is the entire front yard going to be the driveway? There's no grass area?
Yes,
So from the entire width of the
Approximately-
property up to the house is going to be all driveway?
most is, we're proposing a concrete apron and a depressed curb at the Elizabeth Avenue curb line. And then from there up to the front of the dwelling is the paved parking area, correct? It's not the
There's no
entire
garage
width.
specified, it's just a car in the
Correct.
driveway.
Correct, that's what one of the design waivers is, because in the ordinance, it specifies that if you have parking in the front yard is prohibited unless the parking lot leads to a garage in the dwelling. And in this case, we have parking in the front yard, but we don't have a garage, so that would require a design waiver. One of the 3 design waivers the applicant is requesting.
The driveway doesn't cover the entire width, the proposed driveway, so there's going to be a strip.
There's a little bit on each side, right?
Yes.
I understand.
The driveway is approximately 18 feet wide by 20 feet long, and so it leaves 7 feet on total combined on either side of the driveway.
Lori, let's mark the site plan as A3. This is your work, correct, sir? That's your document?
Yes.
That's fine.
This is our site plan. Once again, getting back to the proposed development, the
Can you
applicant...
speak up, please, sir?
Yes. The applicant is proposing a 2.5-story frame dwelling with a 688 approximately square foot footprint and 1,630 square feet total, which is approximately a 39% building coverage, once again, down from the 45.8% approximate building coverage from the former development. Also, the applicant is proposing, as we were discussing, a paved driveway providing 2 off-street parking spaces and also a back porch.
But what type of driveway?
Asphalt pavement.
Asphalt pavement?
Yeah, there's a detail on sheet 2, which shows the pavement section. Asphalt pavement on the property coming down to the near the property line, and then a concrete apron with depressed curb all the way across, right at the street line, roadway line.
Are there any trees that need to be removed for the curb cut?
Not that I know of.
No, they aren't.
They're not?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I think there's vegetation there, some bushes, weeds, things, overgrowth in that area, but I don't think there's...
We have some pictures we can run through. Now, there are several bulk variances required for the proposed development as follows. 20-foot front setback where 25 feet minimum front setback is required. 3.6 feet one side setback where 6 feet minimum one side setback is required. 9 feet combined both side yard setbacks where 14 feet combined minimum side yard setback is required. 12 feet minimum, 12 feet rear yard setback where 25 feet minimum rear yard setback is required, and 39.0% max building coverage where 30% building coverage maximum is required. We have 3 design waivers. As I had mentioned, I'll go through them quickly. Section 3056.1 requires a minimum 20 feet separation between buildings, and we have 10 feet to the building on the top of the plan, which is on Lot 9, which encroaches over the property line approximately 2 feet, where we have a 12-foot setback from our building to the property line, leaving approximately 10 feet between the buildings, where 20 feet minimum is required. The second design waiver, Section 3059.11, prohibits a driveway in the front yard unless it leads to a garage, and as we said, no garage is proposed. The third and final design waiver is a 4 feet concrete sidewalk is required between the road and the right-of-way line, and we are proposing a driveway apron there instead. It is concrete. Now, if I could run quickly to the planner's letter about the justification for the variances, unless you would like any more questions about the actual site development itself.
Do you have the downspouts directed to the street?
Yes, we do.
Away from various neighbors and...
Yes, we do. We are showing the downspouts. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We have 2 downspouts. We are running the gutters from the rear of the property as the mouse is going towards the bottom of the screen, towards the front of the house. We have 1 downspout here and is shown directed towards the street. Another gutter along the other side of the house stops here because there's a small entryway here that the architect will tell you more about. We have a downspout shown right here onto a splash block with grades directing towards the Elizabeth Avenue right-of-way. While we're on the subject, the insight letter from Doug has 5 considerations in it. The applicant will comply with all 5 of the items in page 2 of Doug's letter. 2 of them require testimony. Out of the 5, it's number 2, testimony to be provided regarding any grading is proposed that would impact the drainage patterns or increase runoff onto the adjacent properties of records. Additional spot grades shall be added, which we will do, and provide drainage swales, which we would do, to further show that the water is, stormwater runoff is directed toward the Elizabeth Street right-of-way. As far as the impacting of the drainage onto adjacent properties, one note I would like to add to tell the board is if we add in the house that used to be there, let me step back. In the existing condition on this property with the proposed driveway and the proposed house, we are adding a total of approximately 910 square feet of impervious area to the lot. Net 910 square feet added with everything. The back porch, the AC unit, platform, the house proper, and the driveway. If we subtract from that the house that burned down, that was 860 square feet of impervious area. So compared to the previous development, we are adding less than 50 square feet of impervious area to the property. And that was the testimony as far as the non-compliant building coverage. Even though we have a building coverage of 39%, we're reducing it by approximately 5.9% of the building coverage that was previously there prior to the house being demolished. All the other three items the applicant will comply with on revisions to the plan with the notes about affecting it, and I can put some more spot grades showing that the stormwater will be directed towards the street.
So for number one, is it your testimony that disturbance would remain below 5,000 square feet?
Yes, the entire property is only 875 square feet, and the total area of disturbance is less than well below 5,000.
Okay, and just for clarification, it sounds like you're going to add additional spot grades to provide some swales on either side of the house to further encourage water towards the Elizabeth Street right away, is that correct?
Yes,
And that the downspouts will be pointed towards the right of way,
yes,
and you'll add the note to the plan.
yes.
And then regarding the non-compliant building coverage, your testimony was that there would be no impact to neighboring property provided the other comments are addressed?
Correct, and in addition, that the net added impervious is less than 50 square feet from what was there previously. So it's de minimis.
We didn't have an impervious coverage standard when that building originally was there. So it's kind of also more than 20, or almost 20 years removed.
Right,
Sorry, can I ask you?
Sure thing.
The testimony that the water will not be drained onto contiguous properties, that will all be directed to the street.
correct. And the statement on page 1 of Doug's engineering letter with regard to stormwater, I say, quote, "The applicant is required to comply with section 3058-3D, which states that the applicant shall demonstrate that the post-development runoff rates do not exceed pre-development rates to adjacent properties of record." And I state here that the applicant will comply with that statement by the revised plans.
If we could go back to the driveway a minute. So you have the driveway, and then you're going to do a concrete apron. Is there a sidewalk in front of the house?
No.
No, there's no sidewalks along
Just asphalt.
Elizabeth Avenue.
driveway.
It lines up with the house, the asphalt driveway, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The nature of the street is like back alleys.
It lines up with the house on the north side.
So the front door is going to open up onto an asphalt driveway, is that correct?
Well, there's what's the name of that? An alcove. There's an alcove that the architect will describe, so it's not like you're just opening up the door and stepping onto the pavement. He has architecturally designed it. That would be, as you're looking at the plan, the front right corner.
The front door is set back a little bit.
Yes.
All right, I understand the asphalt driveway, but
Yes.
any way that you could, where the curb cut comes into to the street, could that be concrete?
Curb cut is going to be concrete.
That would be concrete,
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, okay, so at the street now, there's a full-face curb
Right,
all the way along. Asphalt goes up to a full-face curb,
okay.
and then there's, I believe there's a 2-foot curbing, like a gutter. So what we are going to do is remove the full-face curb, install depressed curb cut for 20 linear feet, and then as you head towards the house, there's going to be a concrete apron,
Okay,
and then it's going to hit the asphalt driveway.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you know if there's a sidewalk anywhere on this east side?
There isn't.
There's not. There's just across the street, there's a sidewalk
Yeah.
on the other side of Elizabeth.
And I did discuss with Michelle Alonso. She had really wanted sidewalk to be installed as part of this application. We're not recommending it because this is literally the only lot that would have frontage on Elizabeth that's capable of development. And so it would be an isolated strip of sidewalk on that side of the street. Wouldn't really necessarily serve.
Right.
I do have a lot of recommendations for how to improve on this design, but they
Yes.
tie into more of the architectural testimony.
Yes.
So I'm biting my tongue off over here.
Moving to planning justification for the variances requested. Pursuant to the municipal land use law, the applicant, in order to justify the granting of the bulk variances requested,
Can we hold off on planning testimony until we have the rest of the testimony? I think the architectural testimony is going to be relative to any proofs.
No, it's not. He has a right to present this case the way he likes. The variances are not tied into the architecture. Variances are tied into the variances.
Okay, then I have questions for the engineering testimony.
Go right ahead.
What was the rationale behind this design? Why choose a two-car wide driveway?
to meet the off-street parking requirements of
Why not
of
have
the
two
development
tandem
zone.
spaces with a garage?
Well,
Car garage with one car behind it?
well, there's a number of different layouts that you could use.
Yes,
But
there are.
because we wanted to keep the house in, at a size that would be not out of the character of the neighborhood, and also provide enough living space inside, so we put both off-street parking spaces in the front of the house rather than incorporate a garage.
Well, then I'm going to need to know more about the existing houses in the neighborhood to know that it's in character with the neighborhood.
That's as far as the size goes.
Again, as there are no houses that front on Elizabeth Avenue on this block, it is the only one proposed. On the other side of the street, there are houses, and there's a variety of sizes as well as uses. So, you know, as far as being in character with the neighborhood, you know, this plain vanilla box, I don't think necessarily is the only way to go. And I don't think that a two-car wide driveway is the only solution to your problem, especially when it increases impervious coverage over what could be provided to satisfy the parking requirement. You're constrained by the size of the lot. I get it. There's not a lot you can do, but it's not just this. And not just this allows for an opportunity to reduce impervious coverage, reduce the conflicts of backing out two cars, whatever, and also having straight line drainage from that front corner of the building to the street rather than trying to wiggle its way through that narrow side yard out to the street rather than just running off onto the neighbor's property.
I'm not clear on what you're suggesting. Mr. Bliss testified in regard to the downspouts there leading to that area.
Yeah, it needs to
It's-
flow overland
course.
for 20 odd feet in a narrow space that's fairly flat. So, you know, there's a splash block and maybe a hint of a swale. And I think that's going to be a tricky thing to grade out and ensure that there's no drainage on the neighbor's property.
We had indicated that there was going to be, it's going to be graded. There's going to be, the swales will be with the effort.
And I defer to the
move
board
what it
engineer
is.
as to whether he has a comfort level about that.
I'm sorry?
I defer to the board engineer about whether he feels there's sufficient grade for that drainage to reach the street without possibly flowing to the neighbor's property. I merely suggest for the board that there are alternatives to the development of this site that the proofs may not satisfy. There They don't have to have this much impervious coverage. They don't have to have this wide of a driveway. And still they could meet the off-street parking requirement. Is what I'm suggesting. I wanted the architectural testimony to help me make that case, but
We'll get there.
we'll get there.
I know where you're going.
What is the overall square footage of the house proposed? 1,900?
The overall square footage is 1,680 square feet,
But
roughly.
but the footprint, how big is the footprint?
680 square feet,
680 square feet.
yes.
And then if you add the asphalt driveway, how much is the footprint of that?
20 by 18, so about 440. The math in my head is correct.
346 on the plan.
Oh, okay,
346.
yeah, 346 would be the amount that's on the property itself.
So if we could reduce that amount of impervious coverage, it would be a more viable situation for like water management, stormwater management. It's going to be quite difficult to keep it off the neighbors' properties.
Well, another thing we have done with the stormwater is we have kept the grades very close to existing. We haven't raised a lot of the grades, which would make, if you do that, it would make the stormwater go towards the road quicker, but then it would also have a tendency to go towards the neighboring properties. So I have used design methodology to provide a similar grade than is existing now, keep it in the same grade range, but also provide direct runoff into the street. I have no problem with the runoff at all, and I'm sure that neither will Doug when I make the other changes to the plan. I have absolutely no doubt that there will be no adverse impact to the neighboring properties, as I testified. Even with the driveway in the front. So I'm just going to quickly start as far as my planning testimony. It's not lengthy by any means.
If I may. Don brings up, there may be a better design we're going to be discussing that will reduce the intensity of the variances requested. If so, you might want to wait for that testimony until we nail down what the actual project's going to be. From what I gather from Don's comments, you can reduce the impervious coverage by redesigning the driveway in the front, additionally, and a garage in there, and additionally adding some front yard space in there. That gives you an opportunity for some green space. And at least that's where you're going at this point. So just based on those two comments alone, you might be looking at revisions. Unless you choose not to make it. In the case, you can reduce the intensity of the variances requested by making better design. That would go a long way in your favor.
Okay, so what we should probably do is go into the architect's testimony right now, and then we can, address it directly.
But first, we should finish what Mr. Billette said. He has further testimony that we can, and have the public.
And recall them based on.
That's fine.
I know where you're gonna go with the C1 variance and all that, so if you'll do that, basically, perhaps after a redesign, I'm not sure. I don't know that right now would really be the best way to go. You're better off.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean,
Yeah,
John,
we'll bring this gentleman back for his conclusion.
that's fine, Mr. Chairman, is that,
That's fine. Should we see if the public has any questions for his current testimony first?
Sure, why not?
Yes. All right. As long as the board has any, does the board have any further questions? Okay.
I kind of do.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry. The proposed driveway is 18 feet wide. How much larger is the apron? Like, I don't know that spec. Like, I know it flares out, I just don't know by how much.
The apron is 18 feet wide at the driveway, the concrete apron, and then it flares out 1 foot along either side so that it's a total of 20 feet.
Okay, so it's 20 feet on a 25-foot lot.
Correct.
Okay, so you have 2.5 feet of green strip on each side for that water to be created and go to the street.
Correct. At the,
I'm just trying to understand, to be clear.
That's
how much
right.
space we're working here.
right.
Okay, because it looks really big on there. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from the board? Anyone from the public for Mr. Valenza? Okay, seeing none,
Yeah.
we would like to call you back if necessary, Mr. Valenza.
Thank you.
Sure. Should I take a motion for a 5-minute recess?
Second? Yeah, sure, thank you.
Motion by you, second? All in favor? And I'll take roll call now. Wendy Glassman? Here. Daniel Harris?
Here.
Russell Lewis?
Here.
Jill Potter?
Here.
Tim Slick?
Here.
Jose Alcaraz? Vice Chair John Scully?
Here.
And Chairman Christopher Avaloni.
Here. Mr. Edinger,
Okay, next witness will be Matthew Cronin, our architect.
okay? Jack?
So please raise your right hand. Swear testimony about the witness matter to be true.
I do.
Spell your name, please.
Matthew Cronin, C-R-O-N-I-N, 29 Shrewsbury Avenue, Redmond.
Okay, Mr. Cronin, could you please provide the board with the benefit of your education, training, experience?
I'm an architect licensed in the state of New Jersey for about 30 years. I graduated in JIT in 1987, and I've testified before probably about 20 boards in Monmouth and Ocean County.
Thank you. We accept your credentials, Mr. Cronin.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
Okay, Mr. Cronin, you're familiar with the site, correct?
I am.
138? And you designed an architectural plan for Mr. Albert, correct?
I did, yes.
Okay, and it was on the That would be day 4, yes.
Oh, I think he's sleeping.
Yes. Here you go.
Okay.
Okay, so 8-4?
Yes, please. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
And if you could just go through the plan, you could describe the site and the street, if you will, also, and keep in mind the discussion that we had before in regard to the water runoff and
Yes.
how we can mitigate that and address issues concerning the driveway.
Yes, as John had pointed out and through the discussion, we are on the east side of Elizabeth Avenue. It's a 25-foot wide lot and an undersized lot. There's really no development on either side of us. We've gone through several iterations of housing for this lot, and we are presenting this one today. It is ultimately a 1,630 square foot residence on 2.5 stories. If you go through here, we have a 6'6" basement over on the right side under the entire house, which could be storage and mechanicals. Our first floor shows the driveway in question, as well as to the south or the right side, we have a front porch coming into a small foyer. Then you would come back to the room in the front would be the study, walk past the up and down stairs to kitchen, dining, living area, and then back out to the backyard. That would be 651 square feet. The house is 16 feet wide net, and then the second floor would have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, an ensuite in the rear, and then we would have further stairs go up to the partial half-story attic, which would be 275 square feet. The house is designed with 2 simple gables, some of it to keep the square footage down in the attic space. We've got typical double hung windows. You can see the porch on the south or right side there. The AC condenser would be in the back next to the platform from the sliding doors going out to the small backyard. I apologize, I rushed through this because I think I understand some of the questions that the planner was talking about. And we had an older plan that might answer some of these questions. I don't have it here, but if I may put a drawing up on the board just to kind of sketch on.
I'm sorry, has anyone else seen these plans?
This is a copy of the set we submitted, the A4 set.
He was just gonna.
He was going to
I'm
sketch.
gonna, I'd like to.
So tell us how you arrived at this particular, you said you went through several iterations.
Yes.
How did we choose this one? It's unique, I mean, it has many of the classic things that we're looking for, like as part of the community design regulations, right? So we're appreciative of that. But, you know, we understand that you're very constrained by the lot. So to me, that signals, this sounds like a townhouse design to fit on this, right? Because most conventional townhouses are in the 18 to 20, 30 foot wide floor plan. So curious why we didn't go with a townhouse type design where we could accommodate maybe a one-car garage.
That's what I was gonna suggest.
Go ahead.
We got some comments back from Ms. Alonso early in the process, and our original plan had a small garage, a 17-foot garage, and it was deemed unparkable. So we gravitated to this plan, which is a smaller footprint than that one was, but there's more living space. Ms. Alonso also then, in a meeting that Mr. Bellezza and I had in this building, asked about the possibility, and we looked at it, of having a driveway up the side of the house and then parking up the side of the house or behind the house. On a 25-foot lot, we've got a 9-foot driveway, a little bit of clearance, we've got a 12-foot house. So we discounted that.
So I'm sorry, the driveway, the garage design that Ms. Alonso poo-pooed was a 17-foot deep garage?
Yes.
And why was that? Was that just because of however what an internal
Everything,
layout?
that's how everything
You could only,
just worked
you
out.
couldn't get the
and
extra
there's-
foot and a half?
I rationalized that cars are getting smaller.
True enough. True enough.
That's an honest statement. We do believe, based on the conversation that we've just had, I've been hearing, talking to my client, we can revise the plan, come up with an acceptable garage, and a tandem parking for a single driveway and a single garage coming into it, grab some front lawn, and
I think some greenery in the front would probably look a little more desirable.
yes,
Would you not agree, Mr. Cronin?
I would. So that's,
In character with the neighborhood.
Right.
I know it's a little bit of a disjointed
I apologize
presentation, but
for you getting
saw your point,
sidetracked
and,
by administration. Yeah.
So that's, we would ask to be carried.
Well, I
That's
think,
okay.
are you able to describe what changes you would make to the design?
No, we would need to see
We
those
need to see
plans, Mr. Edinger, before we proceeded.
I mean, I think he has described enough, but we would need to see some plans.
Okay.
And it's 18 and a half is the minimum depth for?
18.
Oh, it's just 18?
18.
18.
So you need another
I
foot.
mean, you know, there's usually a
Right.
change in the, difference between the garage elevation and the finished floor elevation, so you usually have some steps, so you need that little bit of cushion.
You could actually even have a nice little porch, maybe, a little bit.
There might be
Could
some way
even
to accommodate.
technically walk outside onto the porch and not walk directly into the house
House.
if that worked. We tried a lot of different things, and at some point, this just seemed to be
He's an architect.
the more
He knows
useful
what he's doing.
solution for us.
I'm sure you can come up with a great design.
Thank you.
Okay, so we would, I guess we were asking that the application
Well,
be
so
carried.
let's, I want to make sure again, I'm not overstepping and putting ideas in the board's mouths, but I want to suggest that a one-car garage design, sort of townhouse-looking house, might fit the lot better, accommodate the parking, reduce some of the impervious coverage, give us a front yard.
Maybe have some shrubbery.
Yeah, a landscaped front porch, front yard with a front porch. Let Mr. Cronin describe the style. Do we want to retain how this building looks with the, paned windows? What are they, 6/6s and the
You've got,
pitched roof? Is this appealing? Are there any other concerns about the design of the house that you feel are necessary based on what, you didn't get a chance to even run through the house, I'm assuming.
no, I suspected that the conversation was,
Do we demand that people have to have a garage when they build a house?
pardon?
So the garage is your
So-
preference?
It's not a demand, it's how do you satisfy the conditions of the ordinance? We
Yeah,
don't
but can
allow
they
parking.
satisfy the condition of the ordinance just by not even having a garage?
They still need variances.
Still need
The
that.
variances are more intense than if the garage were present with the porch and so on.
That notwithstanding, he might still need design exception relief if he can't offset the front door and the garage door opening.
Okay, so,
But again, the weight of that relief might be less than the impact of parking 2 cars in the front yard.
what I'm trying to say is, as much as I enjoy being on this board, I do not enjoy pushing my personal preferences on anybody who chooses to invest in the city by building a house. So sometimes I actually believe that we get carried away with our personal preferences and ignore the preference of the person that's putting the money into it.
Understood. And that's why I wanted to see, again, this is me as a design professional saying, you satisfy the ordinance requirements if you give us a garage compared to compared to the design they've presented. And as a planner, I don't see how to satisfy the proofs for a variance to do that. So,
I might have an opinion.
okay. So,
I am-
that's why I'm offering to the board, I think there's a way of doing it. I think there's a way of doing it so the relief required is not as intense. But yes, it means if the board requires another trip to a public hearing, as opposed to just, do it in a way that meets their criteria. And yes, a redesign of his architectural plans and his engineering plans. And if that's not what the board desires in exchange for, again, that planning testimony and the relief required, that's your decision.
Mr. Serpico?
Sure. From a legal perspective, applicant has to sustain their burden of proof for the variances. If an applicant can present a design of a project, whether it's a single-family house or others, that lessens the intensity of the number of variances overall, that should be encouraged. If you need 1 or 2 more design exceptions in that, because of that, that's balancing that. But remember, the criteria for a design exception is only half the criteria for a variance. Furthermore, design exceptions in single-family houses is a difficult task, to say the least, in municipal land use law. So, an applicant should be encouraged to design projects that have lesser variances, either fewer quantity-wise and or intensity-wise. Design features of the home, that's not necessarily what the board does. The board can have some leeway and offer a couple of suggestions. The board is not an architectural review board to redesign people's homes. Obviously, that's what the architects are paid for, and that it should be appealing. It's not something that looks like a traditional old-fashioned army barrack. So that being said, I agree with Dan in that respect. Here, from a simplistic legal perspective, you've got an entire front yard covered essentially with blacktop and a wide driveway. If there's an opportunity to reduce impervious coverage by putting in a single lane, so to speak, driveway, adding some green space, putting in a garage, and perhaps a porch, and some architectural features that I'm sure this gentleman can design a whole lot better than I ever could. And you reduce the quantity and intensity of the variances, that's where you should go. That's where you should go.
I would agree with that.
Thank you, Mr. Serpico, yes.
Yeah, keep it simple, but in the end, if you can reduce the variances and make it much more conforming.
I think Mr. Cronin already had that idea, though. From what it sounded like, it was rejected. I'm not quite sure why, but.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. So, yeah, it makes sense. And you go back to the drawing board, give it another go, and come back another day.
So that being said, shall we pick another day?
Yeah, that's what we would like to do.
All right, so what do we have next, Marie?
Our next available date is September 12th.
What do we have on the 15th of August right now?
We have Kula Farms, and we also have 211 DeWitt.
Oh, we already have two. Okay, so then the next would be September, because we only have one meeting in August.
I don't know.
September 12th.
For us to carry without further notification, I would require you to waive any time constraint in which we have to act on the
We do, we would.
Jack, did you say with no further notice? Further notice?
No reason to notice. Spend more money on notices.
Of course.
Even if it's here, the date, time, and place, they can come back.
So I make a motion to carry 138 Elizabeth Avenue to September 12th, 2023 without further notice.
Second?
Okay, second for John.
You could do a voice vote on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay. Thank you.